How's it going, everyone? Thank you for joining me. Today, we're going to be going over some installations on a operating system within your Windows. First and foremost, I want to thank all the new subscribers. I'm a very small channel, but I love to teach. It's kind of my passion. So even if one person gets information and upgrades their own knowledge, that is worthwhile for me for these videos. And the purpose of informing, educating, and in the most case scenarios, you have to consider as a tutor, as an educator, as an instructor, I do all kinds of different tasks, many times a one-on-one with a student to help them with mathematics. But that's a whole hour that I dedicate to an individual, one person that never gets seen, right? That specific piece of info never gets um, propagated through the internet for everyone to get and learn from. So that's why I love doing these videos because in the end, even if one person watches 5, 10, the more the merrier. I will be happy essentially to be able to help as many people as I can with the time I take to make these videos. So again, appreciate you so much. Thank you for joining. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into the video. So in this, we're going to essentially use a very nice application, a free open source application to virtualize our operating system. What this means is we can run different systems within our current Windows system. And for most computers, the hardware is actually strong enough to be able to achieve this without having any issues. So the first thing we need to do is download VirtualBox from virtualbox.org. It is again free. It's an organization where it's free and it's not a corporation like com. So you'll be able to essentially download this without having to pay anything, and then you enter into the technical world of computing. Now, I've already got it installed, and this is what it looks like. I've got my Linux installed and ready, and essentially, this is going to be a format that we're going to be working with. I also got Windows 7, Windows No Telemetry, XP, even an Android installed on my Windows. So you're not limited to only uh, installing Linux. You have a lot of options that you can use to basically play around with systems. And for the best part about this, you have a container of a system where if anything goes wrong in that container, it's not going to leak to the rest of your computer, keeping you secure through your online explorations and potentially, hopefully not, but sometimes we tend to click on something that kind of breaks down our computer. So in this case, I love virtualizing my operating systems because then I can use them and actually get that started. So a couple of things you may need to go through is making some space. So in my current situation, I've got some free space available, but potentially I may need to make some extra space. Normally, 8 to 10 gigabytes is good enough. 20 to 30 gigabytes is great if you're planning on installing extra software uh, on your virtual machine. So we're going to go through with one of my other favorite applications, WinDirStat, on how to actually get stuff installed or really clean up for that stuff to get installed. Because sometimes we need that extra space and it's kind of hard to go through all your files to make sure you can find that stuff that you need to remove and clean up just a little bit, a little bit of housekeeping. So let's get to WinDirStat. One of my favorite applications that I actually like for cleaning up my system. It's called WinDirStat. It's a part of the portableapps.com platform, which is something that you can also play with. And I'll probably make a whole video on this because it's a great little way to have a portable set of applications that you can just copy and paste onto any computer system without going through the process of constantly reinstalling stuff for whatever reason. Maybe your computer gets infected, maybe um, a blue screen of death or something ruin or a Windows update ruins your whole system, then you would have to start from scratch, reinstall everything and whatever. But portable apps is great. So I'm going to use my WinDirStat. There's up here, WinDirStat. And I'm going to go ahead and scan my C drive real quick and let's make some space. It's gonna take some time, so I'm basically pausing and letting it run. But go grab yourself, well, a little cup of coffee. It's gonna help you out, kind of keep things alert. You know what I mean? All right, looks like we scanned it up good. Let's see what's happening here. So, this is the great part about this. Oh, it's my AI models. You can essentially visually see what's taking up what and how much space. So in this case scenario, I see that these boxes here are, well, basically my AI models. Don't really want to move them off, although I might take some of them out because I don't use all of them. Hibernation file, of course, will take space. I would not remove those ever, which you can't really remove them. You have to do a Windows system adjustment in the settings. Oh, Final Fantasy X. Potentially, I gotta move that off somewhere. And some of my video editing. Yeah, I think I found it. I think I'm gonna take some of these out real quick. All right, so I moved some and backed some of these up on an external drive. My starting Roblox Studio Part 5, my Cyber War summary. Both of these are, by the way, on my channel, so feel free to go take a look at those. I mean, honestly, take a look at the kind of stuff I do, right? Programming, network security reporting, polynomial factoring and mathematics, system of equations and inequalities, US treasuries and infrastructure hacked. I love kind of going through a lot of different content types, and these are kind of my passions, right? Computers, mathematics, teaching, and lately I've been going much further into trading myself. So I've been researching a lot more on the trading aspect. So you can go check them out. I've just backed these up. I'm going to right click and refresh selected. And now you'll see a update and those should be gone. I've also moved some download files as well. So I'm going to right click here, refresh those, and that should also clean up at least 15 gigs. I'm already at 18 gigs right now. You got to clean up once in a while, otherwise, what are you going to really do, right? Where are you going to store your files? So, looks good. I've cleaned up, but did I copy or move? Hold on. Ah, okay. It looks like it's still going. So there's a couple of things that you can do in Linux when we do our virtual machine. One of them is actually right here, this desktop editor. It's a open source and free document editor, and it goes through Excel, it goes through Word, PowerPoint, all of those base documentation and basically professional software, right? And you don't have to pay anyone money for it. So we'll see a couple of applications like this once we get ourselves set up. All right, looks like we have cleaned up about 18 gigabytes of a bunch of videos, video edits and stuff like that that I work on. I'm gonna refresh, make sure it's gone. Perfect. Okay, so we have space. Now, honestly, you don't need this much space. I'm probably gonna use about 8 gigabytes total because again, it depends if you're gonna install anything extra, but it has a lot of applications and software already in the whole system, so you don't have to install anything on top. Okay, so I've cleaned it up. We've got our ISO image, still waiting for that ISO itself. Now we're going to do a download. We're going to download LinuxMint 22.1 from here. Let's see. I'm going to give you the installation instructions. It's not that crazy. Sleek, modern, innovative. So you got different versions, right? The Cinnamon edition is very good on the way it looks like. Looking at the screenshot here, it's very Windows related. Icons are smooth. The window manager is the Cinnamon manager, so it's very clean. But it might take a little bit of extra. Look at the size here, 3 gigabytes, right? So it might take a little bit extra space on your computer. Then there's XFCE, a great system on the side. If you have an old computer, maybe 10, 15 years, 20 years, anything very, very old, well, you're going to reduce a little bit of your graphics, but you're going to save some space. It's still 3 gigabytes, but it runs a lot lighter on your system. So what I'm gonna do, and then Mate. I haven't actually seen Mate lately. Let's see. Very much like XFCE. I don't like the non-black theme here. I like the darker themed operating systems. So I'm gonna go ahead and go with our Cinnamon edition. I'm gonna click download, go through a mirror. from the world. And then in here is this, you click on the mirror specifically, that'll take you to the ISO. You can see at the bottom of my browser here, it's directing me to HTTP mirrors. And at the end there, it says Cinnamon 64-bit ISO. That's what we're looking for. I'm going to click on this link here and then give it a moment. There's my nice and clean downloads folder. So I'm going to go ahead and let that download, and we'll continue with after the 3 gigs are downloaded on the system. All right, looks like we have finalized our download, and there it is, our 2.8 gigabyte, about a 10-minute download, nothing too crazy, depending on your particular, well, that one's 4 hours. That's crazy. Only for 142 megabytes for 4 hours. Really depends on where it's being downloaded, I suppose. So I'm gonna go ahead and show in folder here on my Brave browser. Here's where I'll take my LinuxMint ISO. This is what we need to attach. So really the only things you need on your computer is Oracle VirtualBox and an ISO, and that's it. Just 2 files that we're going to combine right now. The first thing we'll do then is go back into our ISO image space drop down, go to other, go into our downloads folder, and go ahead and run this right here, or attach it right here. It should automatically detect some stuff based on the name. If I put Linux in there, it knows it's Linux. It says subtype Ubuntu. Let's go for the, yeah, I guess Ubuntu is pretty decent. Linux Mint is a, yeah, it is an Ubuntu base, so we're going to keep that. We can do even unattended installations, basically creating our details for us. So VBox user change me. So it's actually even easier if you're just trying to get it done without all the extra bells and whistles and configuring stuff yourself. Probably just do this. I'm gonna keep this as I'm gonna put this as password because very secure, and make sure both of these are set up for password. And I'm just gonna put user, VB user. VBox user is gonna be a little bit confusing for me, even though I can kind of go back to it. We don't need any product keys. Linux is open source, so you just set it and forget it. You don't have to worry about paying anyone for anything. These systems are very powerful, very secure, and also free. So I've really been leaning a lot closer to replacing my main operating system with a Linux base. Okay. Can't run guest install, so don't worry about this. This is actually something we're going to set up later for some extra features. But there we go. There's our Linux option now available. Now, if you want to run it, click the start or just double click. And I'm going to clean up some of these extra windows here so we can get ourselves back into focus on our new operating system. There it is. All right. So, okay, I guess it didn't actually attach, but there it is. All right, Linux Mint 22. So you can do that or find it again in your downloads folder. I'd also recommend saving the ISO for future, just in case. I always save all of mine on the backup. And cool. Let me capture here. Click and capture. I'm going to move this for a second so we can kind of get a little better idea. So I've clicked on the actual operating system and you can kind of see I'm locked in this area. Like I cannot leave this window, which is a little bit unfortunate, but it's actually just a base feature so that you don't leak yourself out or forget which system you're in. The right control is how you can exit. So if you're stuck like this and you're like, what am I doing? What's going on? Press right control. Or was it Alt? Oh, it was Alt. Sometimes Control, sometimes Alt. I think I changed mine to Alt in the settings because yeah, I did. Because my main laptop doesn't actually have a right control for some reason. I have to use the right Alt button. So, all right, well, I've done that my own little adjustment, but you can also do it yourself. So once I'm outside, I can kind of basically open this up a bit. Notice the tiny window. This is going to change only because this is the boot menu and it's like a 640 by 480, I think, resolution. So what we're going to go do, let's see if we can actually install it without having to do too much work. Start Linux Mint. we can do a OEM install. Let's see if we can actually do that right away and get that set up potentially without having to do too much work here. Because you do have to go through some like settings here and there, which honestly, they're not that crazy. Um, one of the settings being that you're creating your own user. Man, that's really it there. So let's take a look here. All right, it's taking a little bit of time to set this up. Looks good. This is essentially the back end of the computer, the actual mechanics, the technicals, if you will. Um, so you don't have to really worry too much about this, but it's fun. It's nice. Look, makes you feel like a hacker a little bit, like we're about to get into the Gibson. If you know the reference there, drop it in the comments. All right, there we go. We got ourselves a nice little colorful wheel. I do like the mouse, very nice. Pick your language. There you go. So localization, that's the first set. So it looks like we're going to actually go through the main installation process. It's not going to do it automatically for us, which is okay. It's basically a continue, continue, continue. English US, continue. You can detect keyboard as well, which I think I already detected. Do install multimedia codecs because you want to be able to basically look at videos and listen to all file formats. And that's basically just one click away. Not every single format is basically open source, but this gives you the ability to listen to all kinds of sound-based music files or watching MKV, MP4, WAVs, whatever kind of files that you may need. 100% recommended. If you basically use your computer for anything like that, definitely good to have. So here's where something is gonna pop up in red. So red means danger, right? Not in this case. We are within our system, although I don't recall creating a hard drive for this. I don't have a hard drive currently selected, maybe. This will delete advanced features, none selected. Let's see if we can actually get this, because I forgot to make a hard drive, unless it automatically did it for me. Actually, I might have done it automatically, actually, because it did set up as an Ubuntu subsystem, so it probably has a default size. So then I don't have to tinker about anything. Let's just go ahead and install now. Ah, perfect. Okay, so this is going to create a partition on this virtual drive. Now, we didn't see the drive because this was actually done automatically, but there is here a, ooh, that's pretty huge. I don't want 25 gigabytes. Can I adjust the size of this sucker? Well, probably should have done this before I started the installation, but hey, you can always adjust your size beforehand since you know you're watching. And you probably watch this first before you actually get it done. So we're gonna go to storage. Yeah, it has a Linux VDI. 25 gigs honestly is a recommended. I would do this because you never know what you're going to download and install. There's a little store in there as well where you can install extra. If you're looking for a smaller size for your hard drive, then you can basically create in the next process here base memory, CPU, hard disk. There you go. So I didn't actually edit this, but we could have done something like a 8 to 10 gigs is pretty decent for a system to run. You're not going to install too much extra stuff. So if you got at least 25 gigs of spare space, I mean, if you got Steam, you probably could clean up some games that you haven't played in a while and basically save yourself some space there and also be a bit more productive with a whole new operating system. So this did it for me, which is nice. I'm just going to continue and there's nothing to erase because it is a fresh install. I am currently in this region, indeed. And okay, so you can change your name here. So I'm gonna call this Scholar. Okay, so I guess it didn't quite temporary user, OEM configuration, temporary user, computer name. I'm just gonna put password as our password. It's actually better to do it this way because you're probably gonna make a more secure system. Normally, the main user outside of the root user is like the admin. So we're creating a sub user that's basically going to let us be a little bit more secure through the OEM manufacturing side. Yes, I know it's weak. That's fine. Make sure you do pick a better password than me though. And with this user, it's going to have less privileges, basically letting us have a more secure system as well. So let's go ahead and let it do its thing and install our little system now. Let's look at these little processes here. So we got a Firefox browser. It supports Netflix and YouTube. Very given here for anyone that's doing that. Spotify. We got Rhythmbox, which is our local music player, which is pretty cool. Celluloid. I'm not sure what that is. Is that like a editor, video editor? VLC is a video player. Cool. So they've got some new applications here. Pix4, I'm guessing managing photos, drawing, GIMP, very great. Inkscape, very great. Basically, these are image editors, very akin to similar to Photoshop and Illustrator, and they are free. So you can start creating images and being creative with this operating system right off the bat. These are pre-installed. You don't have to install anything. We got a WhatsApp. Okay, that's cool. Slack, very nice. Discord, Signal. Maybe these are installed. I'm not sure. Those are available though. There's our Office. So LibreOffice is the choice that they've installed here, which is again an open source Office system. And you can do PowerPoint, you can do spreadsheets, you can do documents that you write, all for free, and they should be pre-installed. Steam is included in the system. Very nice. So we're going to essentially consider now Google Earth. We can install games on this system here. Blender. Blender. Wow. We can essentially do some 3D editing as well. And a virtual box within a virtual box. That's pretty intense. So this is actually, again, a better run system on a local hardware. So consider that you potentially want to use this on your computer. I mean, if you replace this with your main operating system, you will be able to run, let's say, Blender effectively. But because we're in a virtual machine, we're kind of sharing resources between our hardware and our host operating system and our guest operating system. So we have to consider essentially the work through that. We can't really do much graphics with a virtual system because it's sharing too many resources and it's not as um, good. It's not as connected to the hardware. And then, of course, we can customize effects, backgrounds, and all that jazz that we're used to from our typical operating systems. So I'm gonna let it do its thing here, and let's go ahead and wait for it to copy it. All right, looks like our installation is finally complete. It took about 20, 30 minutes, depending on your system. I've also got a lot of other stuff running in the background, so less stuff running, faster process, etc. So we've completed the installation as super user, and that's again like the administrator of that particular system. We want to make sure we are not going to be in the operating system as super user. We want to use the super user once in a while, but we don't want to be logged in as a super user. So I'm just going to restart now, and that's going to launch our installed system. There it is. Looks nice, looks nice. So this is actually a good screen. You can basically debug stuff if you're a technician and see if anything doesn't work right. But we got sound card state looks good. Modem manager looks good for your modem and internet. Basically, there it is. Ubuntu right up at the top. Ubuntu system adjustments, etc. Now, for the most part, if it doesn't do it automatically, you want to go into devices, optical drives, and basically remove the disk from virtual drive. It looks like it already removed it. So in this case, it's good. Sometimes it won't do it automatically. So you might want to click on this if it's not grayed out. to basically unmount the ISO that we have used to install. And I forgot to mention, you just got to press enter. I was kind of hovering on that screen for a little bit, but you just have to press enter to get it going. There it is. We are booting up now into our freshly installed virtual Linux machine. Got a nice little ding there in the background, and boom, there we go. So you're gonna notice a little bit of still a screen that's not completely big enough. It's still a little bit off, but what I'm gonna do now, it automatically logged me in. I'm going to go into devices and install guest edition CD image. This is a must. If you want to make this basically work on a full screen seamlessly, we want to install this software. So in devices, again, you click on that. This pops up as a mounted ISO, and then we're just going to run the installation for this attachment here. So we want to put in our password for the installation. It's going to open up our little install here, and it's going to set up our system to be compatible with our Windows host and our Linux guest. This will make it a lot more seamless when we're actually using the system, and it's going to use the graphics card to its potential. So you're going to actually have a better window to look at, a much bigger, flush, not so tiny looking window in front of us, and you can move in and out of the actual operating system, a virtual operating system, without having to use your right alt or right control button to leave with the mouse. All right, and made our screen a little tiny now. So we're going to basically now restart this virtual machine. Press return to close the window. There we go. If it doesn't automatically, which it normally should, we're going to go ahead and do a restart on our own, which is in the menu here and the little shutdown button, and you can click on a restart to get that set. Ah, that's a nice sound. So now we're rebooting back to our system with the newly installed drivers for our integration into the virtual host or the local host with the virtual guest. All right, welcome LinuxMint. Thank you. We can essentially launch any of these and set up our actual customizations. Update is a very good way to start getting the latest updates. But I'm going to close this off. That's for another video to go through. Now it's tiny still. Now we can actually adjust some actual visuals here. We can go to Customize, Icon Size, Direction, Desktop Settings. Okay, we can turn on and off computer, home, trash from our desktop if we want to see those icons or not. I'm going to just skip this because that's the wrong place to be in. We're going to go actually straight into our display. So we're going to search for display. And there it is. There's our resolution. Now we can change it to our local resolution. 19 by 1080. Boom. Good. We're going to scroll down, click apply, and isn't that nice? We have a nice system in front of us. And from here, a couple of things to know now that you have virtual additions installed, you can go into view and actually change some of these. Again, with the right control, you're able to leave and enter these. The host is going to be that particular control keyboard key. So Control C, Control L, Control F, and this is on a Windows system. So I like seamless mode, but I also like scaled mode. But seamless mode basically makes our system go into this form where now I'm still on my desktop. However, I can still use my operating system visually, technically, if I had Windows open within that. So I'm going to do Control L to leave seamless mode. fact, there is a little issue. I'm not using it to get out very well, but when you go into seamless mode, you'll see this little bar here now. This little bar is basically our Windows system, and I'm going to go back to view and remove seamless mode. And what I wanted to do really, oh, it's a little buggy. Looks like my graphics is a little extra right now. My mouse is a giant square, but that's to be expected sometimes when you're mingling with such things. Let's go here. Go through, we can now readjust the window size manually, and it'll adjust the size of that particular window based on the size. If I wanted to fix the mouse, I guess I'm going to have to log out. But there we go. We've got our system installed, and from there we can go to Firefox, we can do our terminal, we can explore the applications we're given, Office, calendars, a library for books, and let's see what the writer looks like. There we go, looks good. And we can type in documents and essentially run with a full professional suit in our system. I'm really not liking how this mouse looks. It's a little weird. In the end, again, it's much better to install this on a actual hard drive instead of a virtual machine because then you're not going to have these weird buggy situations. Uh, but I mean, it's still functional. So that's at least the case here. And we can go into more details on what you can work with within the system through the future videos. So make sure you like and subscribe. If you like this kind of content, this kind of technical type of information I like to teach, so I'm going to be making more of these videos, and I'm going to, depending on the receiving end of this video specifically, I'm going to go forward with doing some extra stuff within the Linux system. So I'm not going to make this video long. I'm just going to end it here. I hope you enjoy your day. Play around with your newly installed operating system, learn the ropes, and honestly, it's probably time to migrate away from Windows. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.